Why be easy when you can just die? Woo! Woo! I'm Chewy Mew. Welcome to my channel, but more specifically, welcome to another Chewy Mew video, where today we're going to be taking a look at another figure from my collection, and that is the ToyBiz Spider-Man, the 90s animated series, Cyborg Spider-Man. So right off the bat, I do like this figure, and I think it looks pretty cool. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at this guy for this video. One thing I will say right off the bat, this claw here, or this accessory here, is missing one of the claws here. And then, from looking at pictures and stuff, he did have like a bandana here that's kind of broken off. I do have this bandana here, or this bandana piece from, the Marvel Legends Elektra figure that I could probably cut this off and super glue it on to sort of, you know, give him that look back. I might do that, maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see. But we can also take this backpack off. Come on, so we can, come on. We take a look at the figure without it. It's kind of hard to take off because these clips are weird. Oops. It's not supposed to come off. I mean, it does though, but I'll get to that, to how I managed to make it come off. But as far as this goes, it looks pretty cool. It is mostly just the sort of, regular, 90s ToyBiz, Spider-Man figure. Pretty much the only difference is actually, there's a lot of differences here, but the biggest noticeable difference here is the arm. Very reminiscent of the Winter Soldier. So fun fact, this design, the one in the 90s cartoon is, I think, an alternate universe Spider-Man, where there's like a bunch of Spider-Man from alternate universes, and then like Spider-Carnage is like the main evil Spider-Man, because that's how it works apparently. But as far as in the comic book goes, it's in a story called The Revenge of the Sinister Six, which also takes place in the 90s, where the Sinister Six, they beat the crap out of Spider-Man and they almost kill him. And then this other superhero, Deathlock, which is a cyborg, he kind of fixes Spider-Man up, and there's a panel where Spider-Man's like, what happened to me? Because he thinks like he lost his arm, and this is like a robotic arm, like Winter Soldier kind of thing. But then he tells him, no, it's like a cast, dude. And so, you know, he has a cast. It looks pretty cool. This being a 90s toy for like, you know, $5, almost 30 years ago. How old is it specifically? This one here says made in China, and this one here says 1996, or is that 1995? It's hard to see on these. Come on. 1996 Marvel ToyBiz Incorporated. So yeah, like about, what is that, 17 years ago? 17 years ago, and it has more sculpting than Hasbro's version of this figure. Hasbro's version only has like the belt, the arm, the head, and then the strap. There's no sculpted rips or anything, or any stitches, which, by the way, this is not sculpted, and the paint was chipping off, or it's still chipping off there. I think it's supposed to be just like a flesh part. Look at that spider logo. That spider logo looks pretty accurate to the cartoon. The cartoon legs are a little bit squished together, but it is surprisingly accurate to the show. The new Hasbro version is not. The spider logo on the back, I don't remember how it looks, but there's some paint rubbing off. The paint web lines are surprisingly clean and look honestly kind of accurate to the show. Like the shoulders are a lot wider, and as you go down the arm, they're a little bit thinner here. The paint apps themselves are clean. The body, I'm pretty sure, is all blue. So all this red they had to paint on, and they painted it pretty cleanly. Not the cleanest around the edges, but overall, it looks really good. Also, to point out, he does have these stitches here all over the suit. We zoom in ×3. You can see they're painted black. Not the cleanest in some parts. Keep in mind, $5 toy from almost 30 years ago. Those look pretty good there. The belt has some paint chipping. Some of the paint chipping is just a result of being played with and age, not so much like QC issues. These fingers are very nicely painted blue. Inside the palm there's like the detail. They have a lot of sculpted detail onto this, and pretty sure this is a brand new arm. I don't think ToyBiz made a Winter Soldier figure. I don't think ToyBiz ever made a Winter Soldier figure, but that looks pretty cool there. This wrap here is painted white. More sculpted tears, or like the stitches on the costume. These look really cool on the figure. There's like a white leg, and they actually sculpted on the detail where the leg is, or where like the knee is exposed. That's the only part where the skin is exposed, but it looks pretty cool. This knee is unfortunately a bit warped. It should be more like that, but it does kind of bend in a bit. They sculpted the stitches on pretty much every body part except the arm. Yeah, like you see some on the mask, on the chest, arms, and legs, except pretty much like the pelvis, but they do on the butt. So how'd that work? They had to stitch it up where his butt is. That's kind of weird. Bend the knees here and take a look at the face here. The face also looks pretty cool. The eyes are not the most accurate to the 90s cartoon. For reference, this came from the Chameleon figure. You can see the head is a bit thicker on Chameleon's figure. I'm trying to hold it like that so we can get them close up together. Like that works. Yeah, you can see that. You can see the eyes are not quite identical on this one as they are on that one. They're pretty close though. I think the web lines are a bit more accurate on this head sculpt. It is a bit thicker than this one. It has to be thicker so you could have the hole in the bottom to plug it to Chameleon. But I think the head sculpt on this looks pretty cool. Like I said, it's missing the bandana here. This like orange rope thing is missing paint right as it go across his face. Like I said, it's probably due to age. It's not QC issues. It has a hole there on the shoulder when you peg this backpack on, which does not have any holes here. You can see that's where the hole would be, but it doesn't have any. Let's take a look at this separately. So this thing has a screw here. I don't know. I don't think this is intended, but you can actually unscrew both of these screws here if you have a tiny screwdriver. You can unscrew them, and then you can take it off. So I took that off so I can sometimes display them without this arm cannon, which it does look pretty cool. So in the comic books, when he gets damaged, he just looks like this. Like, he doesn't have this backpack. This is just for the sake of a gimmick, which it's really cool looking. It's not like they didn't skimp out on this. It does have a spring sound because it is supposed to shoot missiles. And this one too. It doesn't have that, unfortunately. And these claws, you could probably take them off, but the top one broke off, which is unfortunate. Like I said, it had this button that if you press it, it would shoot a missile, which is probably not super powerful, but probably, you know, probably decent. It's 6 p.m. now, fun fact. The paint apps that it does have are kind of clean. You don't see any, like, red bleeding on to the... There's a little bit of paint weird right there. But you don't see any of the gray paint on the black or vice versa and stuff. There's some red right there, like a button there. It looks pretty cool. They painted, like, the wires to it. You know, I was thinking of maybe customizing this and adding some wash to it to give a little bit more detail to it. Same thing with his arm. Adding, like a black wash to it or, like, a dark gray kind of wash to make it look a little bit cooler. As far as the backpack goes, it hooks on like this. And these shoulder pads look really cool, kind of like Gundam kind of shoulder pads. They look really cool looking. Tons of sculpt here, tons of black paint on it. They didn't really paint the back much, which is kind of fine. I don't know why it has these two holes here. They don't, like, do anything. Maybe it's just to attach this plastic piece to, I think. Maybe, I don't know. This cannon, this rocket launcher thing, kind of looks like something War Machine would have, doesn't it? It looks pretty cool as well. I don't have any missiles that would fit, but if we line this up, you can see, you know, right through it like binoculars. Look at that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and you can rotate it. You could rotate this one as well. Weirdly enough, if you plug this on, you can actually put it like this, and that way it sits completely flush. But the way they intend for you to have it is either, which you could rotate it without taking the screw off, to have it like that, or like this, or like that. I don't know. Like that, it looks the best, but when you put Spider-Man on, his body, it hits his body. So it's, I don't know, I think it's supposed to just go like this. I don't know. Maybe it's just like a design flaw. Or if they just had this go a little closer inwards, you know, I don't know. But these are pretty cool looking. As far as putting it on his body, you just put it across his head like that, and hook the things on the back, and it does stay pretty good. It does wiggle a bit, but if you're not going to shake it and stuff, if you have them like on a shelf or stuff, or like, you know, light play, it's probably not going to come off. And the cannon goes this way. Hook this on here, straighten that out like that, and yeah, you can't put it in anymore because then it bumps his arm. But I think you could have it like that probably. It does get in the way of his arm and his leg, but that looks pretty cool like that, doesn't it? I think it looks really cool. This obviously has much more accessories than the Hasbro version. I think the Hasbro version, you don't get any accessories. I don't even think I think you just get like a web accessory and maybe interchangeable hands. I don't know. I don't think this is interchangeable hands, but I think that one you get a fist and then a whipping hand or something. I don't know. But this one, you obviously get a pre-posed, like, sort of grabbing hand and then a sort of open palm with this. But, you know, again, like I said, it's a toy from 30 years ago that cost like $5. Hasbro's version is like $20 from, like, I think 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe even, I think it's like the 2020 retro wave or 2021. I don't know. But that one's a lot newer. So it's not really fair to compare this thing, considering this has just more sculpt than that one does. And no, it does have reused body, but they added so much sculpt and detail to it that it's not like an issue, you know. Also, it was the 90s when pretty much every superhero reused bodies, so it wasn't like a big deal. But let's go over articulation now. This thing can rotate all the way around almost, except it hits him in the head. This arm cannon, if we move his arm, does go up here, and it does kind of rotate to the side. You can rotate the head all the way around. It is pretty tight, though. It's pretty good that the joints are tight on this thing. The arms don't really have a ton of movement when it comes to wearing the armor here. The bend on the elbow, this bend on the elbow is about 90 degrees. You can see there. It's hard to see. You can see 90 degrees. This one also does bend 90 degrees because the way they sculpted it, that it actually does work. So both arms bend in quite a lot, despite this one having a weird joint. You don't get a waist swivel, which would have been cool. The legs kick up all the way. You get a single bend in the knee, which is about 90 degrees. The foot goes decently forward, pretty decent back. You get peg holes, which does he plug onto a ToyBiz base? Let's take a look here. Take them off and put them on. And yeah, barely. He kind of does. Yeah, you can actually put them on a base. There we go. I don't think he needs a base, though. Like, he doesn't really have any problems, because this thing, if you have it sitting on the ground, it supports him a little bit. So that looks pretty cool. But as far as posability, when you take this backpack off, I actually have him displayed without this arm cannon, just because I think it looks cooler having one. I was thinking of taking this off as well. I don't like how rattly that sounds, though. But as far as articulation with this, you get full head rotation. The arms rotate all the way around on both of them now, which is pretty good. Again, you have the really good 90-degree bend in the elbows and knees. Everything else is the same. The only articulation that's hindered is the arms that you can't move. You can't even really move them 90 degrees up because the armor. But I kind of like keeping the armor on and having him some kind of pose, kind of like this or something, For having knee joints, ankle joints, and the leg joints, you can actually pose him you can't really pose them in dynamic ways, like you can't do the splits with this guy or like toe joints or whatever, but you can get him posed like in sort of a crouching pose. No ab crunch though, because that was something that was considered a gimmick. It wasn't like a standard thing ToyBiz did. It was mostly just for the super posable Spider-Man. You can get him something kind of like that, This leg is not, his ankle is, or his knee is kind of warped, so that's a bit of an issue there. But what I'm thinking of doing with this guy, I might do it, I don't know. Like I said, I might add some wash to the armor parts to make them look a little bit different. But I was thinking of adding a matte paint finish to the figure. For one, to preserve the paint on this guy, and second, to make it look a little bit better. Not look so plasticky. It is plasticky looking, but keep in mind this isn't meant to be a collector's item. It was meant to just be like a kid's toy. Also, how did I get this? I don't remember how I got this. I think I got it in a mystery box, I don't remember. But either way, it looks really cool. It's pretty good. Obviously, he doesn't scale with 6-inch scale figures, which, come on, stand up. That's not his fault. That's just how it is. Like, he isn't too tall for him. He's not too short for him. These are two separate scales, so you could probably get these to work. I feel like you could get these figures to go better with these than these with these, because these look like giants. These would just look, you could probably like, do some kind of perspective stuff like this, or, have some kind of perspective stuff if you're doing pictures. You could probably get it to work at certain angles. I don't know. But as far as it goes, whether it doesn't go in scale, he still looks really good, but he's obviously in scale with figures of his same scale, obviously. So this is like what, maybe because these 6-inch scale figures are like 1/12th, so this is like what, maybe 1/13th, 1/14th maybe? I don't know, but they look pretty cool. Look at that. These three go together. I do have other figures as well. They're not near me though, but these three go together pretty good, honestly. But as far as that goes, I think this figure is really cool. Let me know what you think about this figure, and I will see you guys in the next review. Oops, I dropped him.